WanderingWinder here reviewing a game which I played some while back. Let's look at the kingdom. There's Peasant, Masterpiece, Trade Route, Skulk, Cultist, Werewolf. This is the Ruins Pile, Apprentice, Shantytown, Moneylender, and Transmogrify. Um, yeah, so my opponent goes Skulk Silver, and I go Silver Transmogrify, and I hit 2. And my opponent gets their cultist. We both skip peasant, and maybe that's a mistake, especially after on turn 3. Um, yeah, on turn 3 I hit 2. I could have gotten one then, but I figure the way that the game is going to go, it's going to be just like all about cultists, and what is the peasant stuff doing for me there? So I don't know. Maybe you could make it work. We saw in the previous review video where my opponent got extremely junked and was able to use peasant to pull through. Now there were more, well, like apothecary was a natively non-terminal um, named natively non-terminal thing to stick tokens on. There was no way to finish the game out. There were extra points in form of conquest, so I don't think that's necessarily replicable here, but you could like, especially because all this stuff hits 5, and if you're not going for cultists, basically I think if you're not going for cultists, you're just going to get buried in too many ruins, and like sticking tokens on ruins just isn't exciting enough. I mean, you can do that, but it's not exciting enough. So I don't think peasants great, although it's maybe plausible. I don't want to rule it out entirely. Um, but yeah, I have my silver mist, and so here I only spend 3 and get a silver. I maybe should have gotten a skulk given that I have the transmogrify. Um, so like at some point I can transmogrify the skulk into cultist or the gold into something. Anyway, my opponent, yeah, gets more cultists, plays more cultists, gets more cultists. We're gonna skip through the early game here till the point where the ruins go out, which is here. So after my opponent who went first, it's eighth turn, they're up on the ruin split 8-2, and well, I'm definitely gonna say I thought about resigning. By the way, I already have a province because the way my money's worked out all wonky. Here I got a province instead of what would I think be just the third cultist for me. Yeah. Um, I have one transmogrify and all these ruins, 4 silvers. But I get a province because I figured why not. Uh, I didn't think that the cultist was going to help me win the ruin split significantly because I'm not at the bottom of my shuffle. I'm at the top. No, I am at the bottom of a shuffle. Well, yeah, I don't know. Probably I could have gotten like a cultist here because is it really guaranteed that they're going to play all 4 of theirs? But whatever. I got in the province. This is probably a mistake. I get more transmogrifies here. So I don't resign. And this is basically, I'm going to spoil the end of this game by saying this game is an object lesson in why I don't resign in terrible spots. I am so far behind here. Yes, I'm ahead on points, but my deck is much, 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 much worse than my opponents. The other thing I actually could have thought about here, um, yeah, so I have 8 money here. I could have gone for a big masterpiece overpay, but okay, whatever. Um, my opponent gets a gold with 7. I get more transmogrify. Transmogrify, really good in cultist games, as it turns out. Um, yeah. Um, here I hit 7 and get a big masterpiece overpay. My opponent plays her transmogrify, gets some silvers. This is all reasonable. I top deck this stuff. My hand was garbage, so I don't buy anything. Keep this transmogrify on the mat. My opponent now buys 2 cultists, which I don't think is a great play. Um, yeah, I guess there's not really that much more to say. I think they should probably not really count on. So I don't like the shantytown they've gotten, and they shouldn't count on the shantytown to get extra buys. And then 2 cultists I don't think is worth it against getting a province, but this is not so bad. Um, so I turn my last estate into a silver, and again I have 7, and again I go for a big overpay. So I have a lot of silvers, which is oh, it's not my last estate, it's my second to last estate. I have miserable and a curse. Um, my opponent hits 7 here and goes for just a gold, which makes some amount of sense given their cultist chain, I guess, except I really think it doesn't, because chaining the cultists is only good in that it makes them non-terminal, but if you're drawing treasures, it doesn't really matter that, like, it's not like you're drawing more stuff dead because you go for a masterpiece. So I think they should have gone for masterpiece here anyway. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Here I get the last cultist, and probably this is me thinking, oh, maybe I can angle for a pile out on like duchies. And it's an okay card with my transmogrifies and for my deck and whatever. My opponent has a big turn. But in the end, they only hit 6. And they get a gold, which is pretty good for exactly 6 probably. They want to get provinces. Get another silver. Again, it looks like I really have no business winning this game. I have 9 silvers, I have 12 silvers, I have 14 silvers in my deck. My opponent only has 3, but they have 4 golds, right? So 3 silvers and 4 golds compared to 14 silvers, and I have basically extra coppers. They have tons of extra cultists. Their deck is so much better than mine. I have no business winning this game, but we'll see. Okay, I got a transmogrify down, and now I start in on the duchies, right? My opponent has gotten a province, which they need to do. I start in on the duchies. Yeah, because I figure the way I end this game is by some sneaky duchy pile out, probably. And just like, what am I doing? My deck is very thick. What am I doing else on 5? It's just the thing to do. My opponent gets this kind of a hand, which is another reason why I don't like Shantytown. They probably should have played Survivors first and then Library, Ruin Library, but okay, it's not that big a deal. Here they buy gold, which again makes sense. They don't really want to contest me on duchies. With short game, well, short game favors them, but long game favors them more. So gold makes a lot of sense here. Again, I hit 7 and I go for a big overpay. So I'm not just running the duchies immediately. Here they turn their silver into a shantytown, which I think is just a big mistake. Right, their hand is 4 cultists, and just like, you don't need to have actions after your cultist chain. It's fine. So this is, I think, a big mistake. They should either hold their transmogrify or turn a cultist into something. Given how good cultists are in their deck, I think I just hold the transmogrify on my mat and play it later. Call it later, that is. They do, anyway, get to their skulk, which lets them hit 10. Well, I mean, they're hitting 10 anyway, but the extra buy doesn't do much with 10. Giving me Envious does a lot, of course, because I only hit 2. I buy an estate. I'm pretty near the top of a shuffle. I'm, in fact, at the top of a shuffle, and I'm not really expecting to see another shuffle, and I figure, the point might be worth something at some point. My opponent, again, the Shantytown isn't doing them much. They get a province, I get another duchy. Again, it still looks like I have no business winning this game. My deck is worse than my opponent's. I have fewer points than my opponent. I think my deck is worse than theirs, but the Shantytowns don't inspire confidence in me. Put it that way. Here they get another province. It really looks like I have no business winning this game. But now we see the power of Transmogrify with the cultist game. So I call it on a cultist. put a golden hand that gets me to 8. I'm able to province back. Okay. Here, they only hit 6, get a duchy. I get another duchy. Province from them, duchy from me. I'm down by 6. They hit 4 and buy a skulk. I think they should have bought an estate here. I know it's not that close, but the 1 point in this situation really matters. Skulk doesn't do much for you, and the point might really matter here, given where the scores are. So here I turn cultist into duchy and buy province. So now I'm actually up. I'm up some points, and it's just the luck of me that they hit 7 and I'm able to hit province and win this game. So I have no business winning this game through most of the game. They misplay a little bit with getting shanty towns and getting too fancy and some of this stuff. Note that I could have won here with just a duchy, so it's not that lucky on the last turn itself. But going for the masterpiece overpays was a big deal. The transmogrify stuff at the right time on cultists in particular was a big deal. So playing for more for transmogrify, cultist and stuff. Oh, that's the other thing they could have done on that turn. Instead of turning silver into shantytown, they could have turned it into transmogrify. Transmogrify is just so excellent in cultist games. So what we can learn here is 1, don't resign even when you're super, super far behind. 2, shantytowns, just like Necropolis. It's going to be Necropolis almost all the time in my opponent's deck. Real bad. Real bad. Just like you don't need to have actions left on a board like this. Maybe on some other boards the other actions are good enough, but the other actions here besides cultist just aren't very good. So it's not important to be able to have plus actions afterwards. It is important to have money. You want to be buying province reliably. Masterpiece in a game like this can be very good. This garbagey kind of game, and just getting a lot of money can be very powerful. And yeah, transmogrify on cultist. We can learn all of that, I think, from this game. And just a beautiful comeback win for me. I'm pretty happy about it. Pretty happy about not giving up. Hopefully you've been able to learn something too. Again, if you have comments, questions, suggestions on how I might improve the format of these review videos, please drop me a note in the comments section. And yeah, we'll see you again next time.